Before we get into your guys' spreads today, let me give you some background information on this Scorpio full moon. So this full moon in Scorpio is well placed in relation to Pluto, the planet of transformation and rebirth. This full moon is also well placed in relation to Zubena Shamali, which is the star of good karma, good fortune, high ambition, beneficence, honor, riches, and permanent happiness. This combination means different things for different people. This full moon incites and stirs up feelings concerning what you want versus what you need. Inner tension and external pressures can lead to personal conflict and crises that drain your energy. If your life is a constant struggle, use this positive energy of the full moon to improve your life by eliminating something negative. In general, a full moon's effects last for 2 weeks, up to the next new moon, which will transpire on May 25th, 2017. The following chart displays other planetary aspects being made. However, this full moon makes just one planetary aspect. The moon sextile Pluto makes this a heavy and serious full moon, but also a positive one. Intense personal interactions will reveal exactly how you feel about someone and how they feel about you. Greater power and influence over your own life allows for a positive transformation. Relationships will evolve to a deeper level, or you will be free to move on. Anything that is in a state of decay in your life can be reborn now. You can clean away clutter in your mind and your environment. You can also get to the root of any bad habits or addictions to eliminate the destructive behavior. More control over your own emotions together with a powerful intuition will guide you on your journey into the underworld. Sort of like a psychologist, you can deeply probe under the surface to solve mysteries or investigate crimes and secrets. One of the best things about this May 2017 full moon in Scorpio's astrology is how it complements the previous moon phase. The April 27, 2017 new moon shone a light on our dark side. The positive transformation and liberation from guilt, fear, and shame, as it was described, now moves into top gear for the next 2 weeks. Okay, guys, with that background information being said, let's go ahead and move on to your spreads. Hey, Cancer, here's your reading for the Scorpio full moon that we have going on. Let's go ahead and get started and bless the cards. We're doing something a little bit different this time, but let's go ahead and bless the cards. Guardian angels of love and light, ancestors lost and known in the seas of time, please intercede into this reading to provide Cancer with the clarity and direction as to which he or she seeks, and please grant me, the reader, the objectivity to read the cards and relay the messages as they are meant to be. Okay, here's the shuffle for summation. Here's the shuffle for sublimation. And here's the shuffle for sterilization. And here's a shuffle for solicitation. Summation, sublimation, sterilization, and solicitation. For summation, we got the King of Discs in reverse. For sublimation, the Six of Cups in reverse. For sterilization, the Eight of Swords in reverse. Cancer, when I was meditating on your cards and shuffling prior to starting the video, this card popped up too, the Eight of Swords. And for solicitation, we have the Devil in reverse. All reverse cards, okay. Not necessarily a bad thing here in the spread, but let's check it out. Okay. So for summation and how you may be perceived during this full moon, we have the King of Discs in reverse. The King of Discs in reverse can speak of taking life a little too seriously, forgetting to live, and also not expressing joy and also love, and not being true to yourself. So I feel like Cancer, maybe this is how you may be perceived during this time, or during this full moon. But also, we have to remember, Cancer, that sometimes we can't take life too seriously. We also have to remember that some of the things that we do for other people, they may not be taken in the manner in which we hoped or that we would like them to be taken, because of maybe an expectation that we have or that we had while giving that to them, possibly. And also, Cancer, let's remember to live, Cancer. To also express the joy and love that we have of life and in life to other people. We must never forget that. Given that, we all have hard times, that things that happen and that are bestowed upon us. But maybe, Cancer, people maybe perceive you as all of these attributes that I just described or aforementioned. People may be perceived or may perceive you, Cancer, as maybe not being true to yourself because of the lack of these things. The taking life too seriously, forgetting to live, not expressing the joy and love that you have for people and in life. And people may then perceive that that's not exactly how you are, or that's not how you have been living. And we need to find that joy in life, Cancer. We need to find it, and we need to know that it's there for the taking. It's all about perception. We must remember that, Cancer. We need to take joy in those things. Because when we don't, are we really living at that point? We're kind of just dragging along. Are you dragging your large claw around, just scraping against the floor? Because your large claw is there for fighting off those things that prevent not being true to yourself and prevent those mishaps in life. It's there for protection. But we can't take that large claw and use it in a negative aspect. Use it in a way where we're just clawing at everything and forgetting to take things a little bit easier and to not place such high expectations on us and on other people, Cancer. Because we can't control how people react or act towards us, but we can control how we react to them and how we then must readjust our approach. Because Cancer, you're all about the giving and you're all about the caring and loving and showing that loving and, that caring and disposition that you give off and how people can feel comfortable around you, Cancer. But when you don't feel comfortable around yourself, you can't allow other people to then see that. Because then you're running and hiding from yourself, Cancer. You're just dragging your claw along. And then it becomes damaged. And then when you feel like you don't have that security for yourself, people are not then going to feel secure in your, in your space. Remember, Cancer, don't take life too seriously. Things happen for a reason, and things transpire for a cause and for a specific reason. It's for your growth in life. Now, it's hard having to deal with them, of course. But we can't predict the future, but we can anticipate it. And when we anticipate things, then we can then not put an expectation on things, and we can then move forward in life. But there's a fine line between the anticipation and the expectation. People are going to come and go, Cancer, but we can't be sour when they go, when we really want them to stay. And if maybe we contributed to that, we then can't be upset at that either. We must always have that kind disposition about us. Because you give because you want to give, not because you feel like you're obligated to or that you need to. All right, Cancer? So for what shadow sides have you possibly ignored? We have the Six of Cups here in reverse. The Six of Cups in reverse can speak of, needing to set yourself free. And also maybe drowning and suffocating and having that heaviness and being locked up and away from certain things. And being bound to certain things that cause that drowning and that suffocating and that heaviness. Because I feel like, Cancer, maybe some of these things that are going on in terms of the heaviness and the suffering and being bound to certain things are kind of something that's kind of self-inflicted or self-afflicted. You can't do that, Cancer. Because Cancers don't drown. You're half land, half water in a sense. And the water can't be heaviness on you. And you can't suffocate in the water, and you can't drown in the water either. Ironically enough, if you look at this card, don't those kind of look like the claws? A little bit. And rising up from it, when it's upright like this, coming out, and rising above everything, But when it's in reverse like this, it's doing the exact opposite, Cancer. Because those claws are there for a reason. They're there to capture those moments. They're there to gather those things that you need so that you can move forward. And it's all in your grasps. When I say grasps because of the two claws, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all for the taking, Cancer, but it's all about perception as well. Doesn't he look like he's trying to hold his breath? That's what I'm getting from it. It's not too comfortable. And it's funny how also the picture also shows the oxygen bubbles as well. Half land, half water type of thing. Coming up for that gasp of air because it's being too heavy. Things are weighing you down. But it's all about the perception, Cancer. Because all that heaviness is not self-serving you. It's keeping you locked up and keeping you away from maybe forgetting to live and not expressing your joy in life, or joy of life and the happiness of life. But you have the best of both worlds. You're half land, half water. Shoot, that's the best. You thrive in each one, but each one is dependent upon each other, though, Cancer. Each one is predicated upon the other. You can't have one without the other. And that's the dualistic way that you have, or the dualistic ways of a Cancer. Having those moments of, I'm going to be on land for a little bit, okay, I'm going back to the water. It's going back and forth to the source as to which you come from. And going back and forth. And being free to come back and forth. But where coming back and forth comes from is having that dualistic way, but also knowing how to control and how to attribute to both of those dualistic ways that you have. Maybe you've ignored some of those things, Cancer, in terms of your dualistic ways. Being able to come and go as freely as you like. But coming and going freely, it has its moments. It has its responsibilities, and it also has its good and its bad moments. But you can't let the bad moments override the good moments. And also being able to retreat to both ends, the water and the land as well. But you can't take that for granted, though, Cancer, because you need both. You can't have one without the other. So for what you should, or what you can shed in terms of these old patterns, is the Eight of Swords in reverse. The Eight of Swords in reverse here is difficulties beginning, and also having weaknesses and chaos, and having difficulties of solving your problems, and difficulties of having to go through grief and fear, and difficulties of inflictions in terms of suffering and change and cycles, and difficulty keeping a light heart, and also difficulties imagining your desires, and difficulties of being true to yourself, and inability to establish the will, Cancer. That's a big one. Inability to establish the will. You have to establish the will in order to implement it. You have to say, this is what I'm going to do, is because this is what I have chosen to do, or I have chosen to do. Now let's go and do it. But if you can't establish it, what makes you think that you can carry it out, Cancer? You have to make that decision and move forward with that decision. And you can't be on, the teeter-totter or the seesaw of choosing and then not choosing. Choosing the water and then the land, and then not choosing the land but choosing the water, and vice versa. But I feel like, Cancer, the inability to establish the will is the big one here. Because you have to then recognize, Cancer, realize what it is that's preventing you from establishing your will. What are the things that prevent you from doing that? Because when you find that, then you can work on that. And then when you work on that, then you can find a solution to it, and then you can move forward with the will. But you have to find it, Cancer. You can't ignore it. You have to go through it, not around it. And for solicitation, for what advice does Spirit give or have for you right here? The Devil in reverse here. The Devil in reverse can speak of weak willpower and addictions and things that are bounded, or that you're bounded to, and having and meeting crossroads. Meeting those points in life where, oh my God, which one am I going to choose? Which way do I go? Once again, by inability to assert your will. And having that weak willpower in this specific deck, that's what it represents. But I feel like, Cancer, you're probably coming out of that period now. And I think that Spirit's advising you that you need to come out of that period. It's time to come out of the indecision and not exerting your will and actually moving forward with the decisions that you make. Because once you make the decision, you have to move forward with it. You can't renege on those decisions, because then we're back to choices. The choices are there because we need to make a decision based upon the choice. That's the difference between choices and decisions. The decisions come from the choices. Whether it's a wrong one or a right one, Cancer, we have to choose one. Because if it's the right one, then okay, you're able to move forward with the right decision. But if you didn't make the right decision, don't beat yourself up for it, because then you are given the chance to learn. You're given the chance to then correct that and move forward. One of my little sayings is, you should be happy or glad when something is your fault, because then you're given the chance to fix the situation. Now, let's not always, be involved in things being our fault, because then that's a whole different subject, or that's a whole different set of, set of rules or set of observations, I should say. But you're given the chance to fix the situation and to, amend it. But that also involves, Cancer, being able to fix it or amend it. It also involves making that decision and exerting your will on it to fix it and to amend it. But if you're going back and forth and you can't impose your will on it, or you feel like you can't choose which one you want to take, then you're back to a choice. You have to decide, Cancer, what you're going to do. Because the Eight of Swords here in reverse has to do with difficulty to begin in having chaos. But in order for the chaos and the weakness to subside or to go away, we must begin. Begin with a course in terms of how we're going to move forward. You have the best of both worlds, the land and the water. But we also need to discern the fact also, Cancer, that since we have that luxury, we can't abuse it, because that which is taken for granted will ultimately be taken away. And then we're then led to make another decision as to how we're going to appropriate that, or how we're going to then make a decision based upon that. But it all begins with the will, Cancer. You have to decide what it is that you want to do and to exert that will upon that decision. Actually, I should say upon that choice, because then that's what leads to the decision. And that involves not taking life too seriously, like the King of Discs in reverse here. You have to express that joy and love of life, Cancer. And also remember to be true to yourself, because if you're not true to yourself, you then can't make those decisions and moving forward and exert your will. Because if you're not true to yourself, do you really have an idea of what your will really is? It involves having an idea of what that will is, but it does come from, Cancer, knowing who you are and where you stand, because that's where it begins. Everything follows suit from that decision. All right, Cancer? Kind of feel like that's the big message here. And Spirit's advising you to be strong during those crossroads and to never feel weak with your or feel weak in terms of exerting or exuding your willpower on things. Be strong, Cancer. You're very dualistic. And a lot of people don't say that about Cancer or Cancerians or things of that nature when they mention them, but they are very dualistic. But you're going to have to get a hold on that dualism or that duplicity and know when it's appropriate to exert it and when it's appropriate to, maybe repress it for that moment. But you can't keep repressing it, and you can't keep relying on that duplicity and then jumping back and forth between different decisions and choices. You have to make it, Cancer. But it all starts with the willpower, but it all starts with being true to yourself. Right, Cancer? I hope you enjoyed your reading for the Scorpio full moon. Hey, Scorpio. Here's your reading for the full moon in Scorpio. We're going to do things a little bit different this time. Let's go ahead and bless the cards and let's get started. Guardian angels of love and light, ancestors lost and known in the seas of time, please intercede into this reading to provide Scorpio with the clarity and direction as to which he or she seeks, and please grant me, the reader, the objectivity to read the cards and relay the messages as they are meant to be. Okay, here's the shuffle for summation. Here's your shuffle for sublimation. Here's a shuffle for sterilization. Here's a shuffle, your last shuffle, for solicitation. Summation, sublimation, sterilization, and solicitation. Okay, so for summation, we have the star. For sublimation, the chariot in reverse. It's funny, Libra also got this card exactly in reverse in the same position. Then the Three of Cups here for sterilization. And also, oh, interesting, solicitation for, or justice, I should say, for solicitation. Okay. Right. So, Scorpio, for how you may be perceived during this full moon, we have the star here. The star can speak of having authenticity, healing, renewal, rebuilding, grace, and hope. Being a muse. A muse, M-U-S-E, not amused. And satisfaction and peace. And also having, or being an oasis. So I feel like Scorpio, maybe, possibly, people will perceive you as being that hope, as being that person of healing, which also goes along with the Scorpio full moon. If you also have a Scorpio moon, check that out. how it's all about healing, and it's all about knowing what you can contribute and attribute and what you can't. And having that moment of transformation, Scorpio, and being able to release it, or being able to, or needing, I should say, to move on. And the star is all about that. It's all about that hope and renewal and rebuilding. And that satisfaction from it, because you have that hope, because you have that spark that other people see, and you being satisfied from your decisions, and being an oasis for yourself and also for other people. An oasis is something that you see and you come to when in need. When in dire circumstances, it's there for renewal and for rebuilding and to gain your abundance back, and for having that moment of awe, in a sense. Awe, like A-H-H, like, oh, thank God, you know what I mean? Like that. Having that oasis in the middle of the desert, in the middle of strife, in the middle of battle, and seeing that hope and having it. So people may perceive you as so, as being someone they can come to, and someone that's going to give them sound advice, and being that stroke of good luck for them. And having those moments with people where they say, you know, because of you I didn't give up, and because of you I carried forward, or I moved on, and it taught me how to be strong. It's pretty good, Scorpio, I'm sorry. It's pretty good. I like it, Scorpio. It's really good. It's a good card to have for summation. Sublimation, the Chariot in reverse here for what shadow sides have you possibly ignored? Maybe not moving forward with certain things, Scorpio, that are in your life. Maybe being stalled. Maybe possibly having lack of control in action. And also possibly victimhood for some of the things that have prevented you from moving forward or have caused you to stall. Which kind of is contradictory towards the star in a sense, in terms of the positions and, you know, the star coming before the Chariot. But I feel like, you know, indifferent to, you know, Libra and their cards, I feel like you ignoring these sides of you, Scorpio, that they're going to come to light. And that what's going to happen is that then you're going to be able to transform yourself, and then you're going to be able to provide that with positivity for other people. And you're going to look at that as hope. And you're going to look at that as developing your oasis as to which people can come to. And people can then drink from that fountain. Kind of like the Three of Cups here. Having that joy and happiness in terms of the people that you're involved with. Because I feel like Cancer, I'm sorry, I keep doing that. I apologize, Scorpio. I just did the Cancer video. Scorpio, that these moments of not feeling, or of stagnation, feeling like things are not moving forward, are really going to help you then see the goodness that you do bring. But with also that comes moderation, and it comes with upholding your own morals and your own ethics and the things that you have learned. Because in order to give that back to people and to give other people hope, to give other people, or to provide or be that oasis for other people, we have to remember, Scorpio, that we have to be okay with ourselves, that we have to be able to move forward in our lives. Because we can't be stalled, but then try and provide people with the fuel or with the gas to move forward in their lives if we can't even move forward in ours. But I feel like, Scorpio, you're going to take this moment, or those moments of stagnation or being stalled, as a way of transforming yourself and to providing those unfavorable assets and to provide people with those so they can then learn from your mistakes or from the things that hold you back, and fueling people and giving people that fire and that motivation to move on and move forward, and then to be that person of hope that they can come to. So for how you can shed these old patterns, you have the Three of Cups. The Three of Cups here speaks of, excuse me, all equality and everything being good is because it comes from the same source and overflow. And having fortune and abundance and harmony and rebuilding yourself, especially of your morals, which is, kind of ironic as to how I went into detail about the Chariot in terms of your morals and your ethics and rebuilding them. Because that's what it's going to take, Scorpio. Rebuilding those morals and those ethics. And knowing that it all comes from the same source. And knowing that everything is equal and everything is good because it comes from the same source. And giving and providing that harmony for people because of rebuilding yourself and transforming yourself that this full moon in Scorpio is calling us to do. It's calling us to transform so that we can then give back to other people. And we can be, when I say we, I mean you, Scorpio, can be that ray of hope for them. And you can then be their oasis where they can come and drink from your fountain. Or drink from your waterfall of abundance and learned trials or what you've learned from your trials and tribulations. And you can provide them with that. Then you can turn your chariot upright because it's going to allow you to move forward and to feel it and to be and to gain that self-confidence. I feel like, Scorpio, a lot of this is going to come from rebuilding yourself from this full moon. And you're going to see and reap those benefits of your revisions and of you rebuilding things, because then you're going to be able to provide it for other people and be able to help them out, and that's going to make you feel good as well. Because only you can shed those old patterns through the water, given that you're a water sign. For solicitation, the advice that Spirit has for you is justice. What's wrong and what's right, in a sense. Having those moments of, I must do what's right. Having that truth and that order and that balance and that equilibrium and lightheartedness. And having those moments of having that vision of insight, which is also and bleeds out into your outside reality. A lot of those insights, Scorpio, that you're going to have, and those visions of these insights are going to bleed out into your reality. Kind of maybe fall like these waterfalls. Falling out into that oasis and then giving back to these people. I feel like, Scorpio, a lot of people are going to see a different side of you. They're going to see how caring you can be, because it's always been there, Scorpio. But sometimes when we see what's right and what's wrong and we seek the truth, people then perceive us to be different, and people then perceive us to be that hope, that ray of sunshine. And then when people perceive us to be like that, maybe then we can come to the conclusion that, yeah, maybe I do have that in me, that is in me, and that's who I am. But it comes with that transformation, and it comes with delegating or being discerning in terms of what's right and what's wrong in terms of justice. And having order and balance and truth to what it is that you portray and what it is that you do. And having those insights and those visions of that insight and it bleeding out into your outside reality and other people seeing that within you, Scorpio. Because people are then, may now have that joy and quality of interaction as being a positive one. But it's only going to come from discerning what's right and what's wrong and the truth versus the fable or the fiction. Because when we're true to ourselves, we can then provide people with what they need from us. And we can do it in an appropriate manner. We can do it the way that we're supposed to. And do it with an amiable disposition. All right, Scorpio? I think that concludes your reading for the full moon in Scorpio. Hope you liked it. Hey, Pisces. Here's your reading for the full moon in Scorpio. We're going to do things a little bit differently this time, but let's go ahead and bless the cards and get started. Guardian angels of love and light, ancestors lost and known in the seas of time, please intercede into this reading to provide Pisces with the clarity and direction as to which he or she seeks, and please grant me, the reader, the objectivity to read the cards and relay the messages as they are meant to be. Okay, here's your shuffle for summation. Here's your shuffle for sublimation. Here's for sterilization. Get a little closer. Okay, here's for solicitation. Okay, split these. Here's summation, sublimation, sterilization, solicitation. Okay, so for summation, we have the Four of Discs in reverse. For sublimation, we have the Nine of Swords. For sterilization, the Devil reverse. And for solicitation, we have the Ace of Swords here. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so for how you may be perceived during this full moon, we have the Four of Discs in reverse here. The Four of Discs in reverse can speak of lack of physical balance, also neglecting the body, of physical movement, and also neglecting the body and also the physical environment of things. So I feel like Pisces, during this full moon in Scorpio, you may be perceived as maybe having just lack of balance in general and neglecting those things that are around you that contribute to maybe, having lack of the body and physical environment of those things. I feel like Pisces, people are going to see, or maybe people may perceive you as being a little off kilter. Maybe not doing or performing those certain things, whatever they may be for you, that have to do with keeping that balance in your life. And I don't really necessarily mean in maybe a physical sense. I want to say more in a spiritual, or maybe more of a personality sense. And just kind of being a little bit off. Off maybe in your ideas, or off in maybe handle harmonious maybe situations. And also maybe not having that care for yourself and for the things that you do need in terms of your body, your home, your money, your environment. And just maybe being off. But I'm kind of picking up on, Pisces, that there's a switch going, or maybe a transformation that's happening given the full moon in Scorpio, and transformation being one of the key elements. That things are changing for you. And people are starting to maybe see that. And that maybe might cause them to maybe think that you're off. But I'm starting to get the feeling, Pisces, that it's not necessarily that you're off. It's just you're switching things up. And people are not used to maybe seeing that abrupt switch. And seeing that differentness, for lack of a better word, kind of going on with you. And people then becoming maybe confused, or maybe you becoming less predictable. And people should not think that you are predictable given your dualistic nature and your duplicity, because you're not predictable at all. There's a lot of different things that happen with you, and a lot of the switches that happen, people may see that as being, oh, he or she is off. Look, they're doing this differently. Not that they're trying to maybe predict your next move, but maybe it helps them recognize your patterns and recognize those things that you normally do as being those patterns, and maybe kind of starting to understand maybe your predictability a little bit. But I feel like, Pisces, that this is not happening. This is not the case. That I believe that you're starting to see things from a different perspective, and this is causing you to change up your approach, and to change up the way that you view the world, and to change up those morals and those ethics that cause you to adapt to life, and that cause you to rise to the occasion of certain things. Because I feel, Pisces, that there's a change going on with you, and that life is throwing different situations at you, and you're trying your best to adapt to them and to come out the victor in these situations. And I'm also picking up on, Pisces, that you're starting to maybe realize your self-worth, and you're smiling, and I mean that in an appropriate way. I know that came out a little harsh, but I don't mean it in a negative sense. I mean it as in a positive sense, as in recognizing what you bring to the table and knowing that that's what you are and that's who you're made of, and finding your strengths inside of you, and finding and grasping the bull by the horns, and knowing that this is what you are and what you're made of, and no one's going to tell you any different. And also maybe possibly, Pisces, I'm picking up on maybe visiting the other fish, because a lot of water signs don't realize their duplicity and they never visit the other fish, kind of like Gemini visiting the other twin. But visiting that other fish, Pisces, and seeing that that other fish has a whole other set of understanding and morals and ethics to them. But you have to visit them so that you can find the perfect balance between the two. Because that's what it's all about, is balancing those two fish and knowing that through balancing them, only good is going to come of it. That only positivity will come out of it. Because then you have a full understanding as to who you are and what you contribute and what you attribute to situations and things. And also, Pisces, how it helps you readjust your approach to new things. And when you visit that other fish, it helps you to see from that other perspective the things that you normally wouldn't see from the viewpoint of only one, or one solitary fish. So people may perceive you as being a little flip-floppy. No pun intended with the fish out of the water, but you get what I'm trying to say here. That things are just switching up and they're like, whoa, what's going on here? But you know what's going on. You got this. For sublimation, what shadow sides have you possibly ignored? The Nine of Swords here. And the Nine of Swords can speak of your dreams coming true and enlightenment and exaltation and long-awaited arrivals coming and your prize coming and your ship's docking, and also redemption and experience guided through the darkness, and having and maintaining that safeness through your passage into the darkness. And also the ending of long separation. Maybe the separation of not visiting that other fish. I'm not sure why, Pisces, but I'm picking up a lot on that. On visiting that other part of you. And having that fear of visiting that other fish. And visiting that duplicity that you have. Because when you visit that, or visit it, your dreams will come true from it. Because then you gain a better understanding of who you are, Pisces. You'll gain that knowledge that there's this other side to you that you can then bring to the table, and it'll only bring goodness, and it'll only bring celebratory moments. And your dreams can come true from enlightenment of visiting that other side of you. And you're able to then redeem yourself in certain situations because you have that enlightenment or that moment of, oh, I didn't realize that I did that or that I do that. Now I know why. Because you have to visit that other side of you, Pisces. Because then you're going to do things unconsciously or subconsciously, and then you're going to not understand why. And when you don't understand why you do that, or that other part of you, that other aspect of you, then you can't describe or explain to people why that happened. And then fears of rejection come in, and fears of not rising to the occasion comes in. And then you further bury, your head in the sand. And it all comes from a lack of understanding of who you are. For how you can shed these old patterns, we have the Devil in reverse. The Devil in reverse can speak of having think Cancer got this as well, but not in this position. But they did get the Devil in reverse. Having that weak willpower and being at that crossroads, Pisces, of having to decide. It's funny I say crossroads, to visiting the other fish, to dualistic, to I'm just starting to pick up a lot on that. On having that crossroads, or being at that crossroads, Pisces, of saying, am I going to continue to move forward with the things that I have acquired so far, or the things that I have now or obtained now, and moving in the same direction, or am I going to move in a different direction and gain some enlightenment and understanding, more of myself, more of understanding yourself on a deeper level, and giving up those old ways of thinking and giving up those patterns of thinking one way, maybe, which I want to say is going to contribute to summation, to how people are going to perceive you during this full moon. It's that switch up that's coming, or it's about to arrive, or that it actually is here. And it's realizing that I'm more than this. I'm more than what I have given. And reaching that crossroads, Pisces, and saying enough is enough. I'm going to do what's right for me, and not what's just right or what conforms to the comfortability of other people. Because you like to give, Pisces, you do. But sometimes you give a little bit too much, and you end up losing yourself sometimes within that trajectory or on that road. And sometimes conforming is just a little bit, it doesn't serve you sometimes, Pisces, and I feel like that's the crossroads to conformity, or I should say, the crossroad of conformity, or of transformation, and of self-realization. Let's put it that way, conformity and then self-realization. But you're at that crossroads for a reason, Pisces, because Spirit is now revealing to you that you need to make a decision. You have to make that choice. Are you going to do what's right for you, or maybe just right for other people, which is all in good faith? Because if you do the things that are right for you, may not always be what's right for other people, but since you have that kind heart and that kind disposition, it's going to automatically come and follow suit if you pick what's right for you, because then you're able to be more true to yourself, and you're able to then exude that to other people, and you're able to be more honest as a latent consequence of choosing what's best for you. You're able to then venture into that perception of seeing the other side of who you are. Because you have to see that other side, Pisces. You have to see that there's that strong side of you. That other side of radicalization, in a sense. And it may be a little crazy, and it's going to take a lot of self-exertion to actually see that other side and to be comfortable with that other side. But it's only going to make you a stronger person, though, Pisces, when you venture off into that direction. Because conformity isn't really working anymore, Pisces. It's no longer serving you, I feel. Now for what advice does Spirit have for you? We have the Ace of Swords here. And the Ace of Swords is being open-minded. Be open to ideas and ideals, and be open to new plans, and having a clear vision, and having the desire to rise and climb and find truth, and also having singular focus. Now, having singular focus can have its detriments, sort of like maybe it's a little bit different from tunnel vision, but singular focus upon the plan. Singular meaning ace, meaning one, the beginning of. Having that singular focus, Pisces. To rise to the desires that you want and to climb for them, to climb to them and to find the truth within it. And to be open-minded to actually start that venture, to be open-minded to start to climb towards it. Because you need to have an open mind, Pisces, that there are other aspects about yourself. You need to see them. Then you can gain a full understanding of who you are, and then therefore you can then give back to other people accordingly. You have to see those faults and also those great benign natures, or great benign nature that you do have within you. But, in order to see the rainbow, you have to weather the storm. And it's going to be hard, Pisces. It's going to be. And it's not easy coming to terms with who we are. One of the hardest things to do in life is to work on ourselves. It's very tough because there are some things about ourselves that we don't want to necessarily realize, or we don't want to necessarily venture into, but we have to. It's the only way that we're going to do it, or that we're going to grow as a person, because then you can then shed those things that you don't want in your life, or that don't serve you, or that only bring detriment to your life, and that bring those moments of being bound to certain things. But you have to let it go, Pisces. You have to let it go, and you are, since the devil here is in reverse, specifically for sterilization. You need to sterilize yourself. You need to sterilize your old patterns. Because then you make way for the good things to come in. When you stop chasing the bad, you give the good things a chance to catch you. And you Pisces, you can't ignore those things that are being given to you so that your dreams do come true, like the Nine of Swords here. So that your prize can come. And your long-awaited arrivals then come to you because they're long-awaited. And then you can then redeem yourself with other people and also for yourself. And you also have that guide through darkness, like the Nine of Swords entails. Because then you're going to be able to guide yourself through those darkness, or through those dark moments. And also Spirit will also help you as well. Let's try and conform to new ideas and new passages. Because these old patterns as to which we conform to is just no longer working for you, Pisces. And people are going to realize, what the heck is going on with this one? Why is this person off during this time? But it's only going to be growth for you, Pisces. But it's going to be a good growth, a growth in spirit, a growth of spiritual nature within you, a growth of learning who you are and learning how to move forward, and learning that delving into the darkness is not necessarily a scary thing. It's a moment of positivity because only greatness is going to come from it. But it's necessary, Pisces. We have to do it. Say you guys have to do it. There's no way around it anymore. Because the conformity isn't working. You must conform to new ideas and new ideals, as the Ace of Swords is here, and also within the solicitation position of what advice Spirit has for you. Be open-minded, Pisces, to the unknown attributes or the unknown things that Spirit has awaiting for you. But you can only have that moment of enlightenment if you delve within it. All right, Pisces? Let's work on this, okay? Don't be scared. You got this. Okay, I hope you enjoyed your spread for the Scorpio full moon.